This is Khalid Malik's Morning Jam on FM91. It is time now for the encounter on the Morning Jam. Joining us today is Head of Department Business Solutions, TPL Insurance, Akif Malik. Has a degree of mechanical engineering, an MBA from the UK. Akif Malik has had diversified experience working within manufacturing as well as the services industry for more than 20 years now. He has an insurance industry experience of about 15 years, both in non-life and life insurance, where he's led agency distribution channel, banker channel, as well as corporate sector, and is well versed with the developments happening within the insurance industry. And what does that mean exactly? Please make him feel welcome. Akif Malik. Akif, welcome to the show and welcome to Encounter.
Thank you very much, Khalid. Looking forward.
We'll dig into the developments that are happening within the insurance industry. We keep hearing about it, but before we get there, tell us about TPL and your experience so far, because you've worked across a number of channels, as you said earlier.
Right. So TPL, it started off primarily as a retail insurance sector, insurance industry. And we are very big when it comes to motor insurance. That used to be our bread and butter, still is. And over the last 6 years, the board decided to get into the corporate sector as well. And when I say corporate sector, we are looking at other than non-motor businesses. It's been a roller coaster journey so far, but I am truly enjoying it. And I think the company's got a lot of potential, especially with its focus on the retail side and subsequently bringing the same thoughts into the corporate sector as well.
So what are some of the, would you call them silos, aside from motor, and this focused on some of the other sort of aspects? Can you give us a little more?
Sure.
What aspects those are?
So primarily, I mean, if you look at the insurance industry in general, it gets divided into, obviously, there's motor. Then there is what is called health. Then there is fire and property. Then there's marine. And then there's agri. That is something which TPL is heavily focused on. That is an upcoming sector. And then things like, cash and safe, cash in transit, travel insurance, personal accident insurance, miscellaneous, etc., etc. But primarily, it's divided into health, motor, fire, and marine.
Health, motor, fire, and marine.
Absolutely.
Do you have any numbers with respect to insurance and its penetration in the Pakistani market?
Yes. So it's close to 0.7% of the GDP. That is the insurance penetration, unfortunately, in Pakistan. And it is pretty low compared to our neighboring countries. And very low compared to the developed countries.
Sure.
So but that's the unfortunate reality.
Why do you think that is? I mean, it would make sense, right? That listen, property insurance honi chahiye, health insurance honi chahiye, vagara vagara. But why do you suspect that this is the case here in Pakistan?
Well, Khalid, so to me this is a millions of dollar question. जिसका कोई सही आंसर शायद इंडस्ट्री वाले खुद भी अभी तक स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं टू गेट टू द राइट आंसर. But I personally believe that it is the lack of awareness, and the lack of awareness के अंदर I would also put the onus on the insurance companies as well as the government sector. To give you an idea, there is one insurance which is mandatory in Pakistan, and that by law is the third party motor insurance. And basically what the third party motor insurance does is that if I bump my car into somebody else's property or an individual, my insurance company is liable to make payment to that particular individual or repair that property. But आपने भी देखा है, मैंने भी देखा है कि जी हम लोग जो हैं वो सड़क पे अगर कोई मोटरसाइकिल वाला जो है वो किसी को गाड़ी को मार दे, या गाड़ी वाला मोटरसाइकिल को मार दे, या गाड़ी वाला गाड़ी को मार दे, तो सड़क के ऊपर बहस हो रही होती है एंड पूरी की पूरी ट्रैफिक रुकी हुई होती है, विदाउट रियलाइजिंग दैट इफ दे हैड टेकन द थर्ड पार्टी इंश्योरेंस व्हिच बाय द वे इज मैंडेटरी बाय लॉ, तो ये तमाम की तमाम बहस जो है ना वो ख़त्म हो जाए वहीं पर ही. ठीक है. सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट्स
रश भी खत्म हो जाए.
And unfortunately, it's a question of awareness. इस पे जो है वो neither did the insurance industry take the lead on that, neither did the government make it enforce it from a mandatory perspective. In rest of the countries this bylaw is mandatory and इसके ऊपर enforcement काफ़ी strong होती है. So I mean that's one thing. So basically it's the lack of awareness, and the lack of awareness subsequently results in its non-importance. So insurance at this point in time, it's not really of primary concern to everyone. कराची जैसे शहर के अंदर जो है वो आपको भी आइडिया है लास्ट ईयर कितनी बारिशें हुई. काफ़ी घर ऐसे हैं जो कि फ्लड हुए, काफ़ी गाड़ियाँ ऐसी हैं जो कि डैमेज हुई, काफ़ी मोटरसाइकिल ऐसे हैं जो कि पानी में बहे गए. पाकिस्तान की मार्केट के अंदर घर की इंश्योरेंस शाज़ो नाज़िर कोई सोचता है लेने को. ठीक है, इट्स नॉट दैट द प्रोडक्ट डजंट एग्जिस्ट, द प्रोडक्ट एग्जिस्ट, but the awareness is not there. Similarly, I mean, we feel that out of 3 million vehicles that are currently plowing on Pakistan's road, 600,000 would be insured. So that's close to 20%, which is basically insured. बाकी जो है वो आप आइडिया कर लेंगे जी, it's uninsured, and motorcycle segment के अंदर तो perhaps the number is even less.
Which is strange to me कि बाहर तो हम सुनते आए ना कि जिसकी प्रॉपर्टी होती है वो होम एंड कंटेंट्स इंश्योरेंस जिसका नाम होता है वो लाजमन आपने लेनी होती है, लेकिन यहाँ पर वो बात छिड़ती नहीं है. मतलब and I think we'll go to a break and come back. Well, maybe we can pick it up from, okay, we know that this isn't commonplace, and I guess we'll try and look for an answer, but फिर इसके बाद फिर misconceptions भी हैं. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about some of the misconceptions around insurance.
Sure.
This is The Encounter on The Morning Jam. We'll be back straight after this. Welcome back. This is The Encounter on The Morning Jam. Joining us this morning, Head of Department Business Solutions, TPL Insurance, Akif Malik. Just before the break, we were talking about how insurance or conversations around insurance for property, etc., is not commonplace. What are some of the misconceptions around insurance? That many?
I think that the biggest misconception about insurance is that unless and until I know somebody in the industry or in the company, my claim will not get paid. I think that I again say it's a very big misconception. And there are a number of reasons for that. Number one, whenever you get a policy, उसके साथ there's a huge long list of terms and conditions. Unfortunately, we never take the time out to read those terms and conditions because those terms and conditions, they contain each and everything, including the contact details and perhaps the claim number as well. So most of the insurance companies, they would have call center running where you can actually lodge your complaint, lodge your claim. At TPL, we also have an app-based solution, so you can actually lodge your claim through the app, and it will get settled. That is there. So people, number one, we don't, as a nation, we don't read the terms and conditions, whether we are signing a document when it comes to banking, whether whether it comes to insurances, we never go through the terms and conditions. So we don't understand what it is that we are getting into, what is covered and what is not covered. So वहाँ पर एक वो challenge आता है. So a lot of people depend on the insurance producer or the insurance agent to ensure कि अच्छा जी वो claim हो जाएगा. और फिर होता यह है कि जी when the insurance person leaves from one company to another company, and then we think कि अच्छा यार अब दूसरी company के पास चला जाए, irrespective of whatever the strength of the company is. So that's one thing. The other thing is lack of awareness. People perhaps don't know that products like these, they exist and they are actually very cheap. Now, just to give you a ballpark number, I think a home content insurance, I'm not saying, a very high-end one, but something which will cover perhaps, the basic things, is less than the cost of a security guard for the month. And I'm talking about the annual premium. So you bring it down, तो पता चलता है कि यार ये तो शायद महीने का 1,000 रुपए या 1,500 या 2,000 रुपए बनता है. So people are not aware of these products exist. And here I would say that, as an insurance industry, we have perhaps not created that need, or we have perhaps not created that awareness amongst people कि अच्छा यार there are products which exist which can cover your basic needs. Similarly, I know that there are products which exist which cover the health need of your domestic staff. We would rather give out, charity or help them out in kind whenever somebody falls sick or injured, instead of getting them insurance.
So it's accessible to all members of
society. It is.
Whether you're low income में आते हैं या मीडियम इनकम में आते हैं या हाई इनकम में आते हैं, आपके लिए ये अवेलेबल है, ये सहूलत अवेलेबल है.
बिल्कुल आप सही कह रहे हैं कि ये सहूलत अवेलेबल है. आई थिंक इंश्योरेंस इंडस्ट्री ने इसको एक तरह से प्रॉपरली प्रोपगेट नहीं किया. शायद उसकी एक वजह ये है कि मे बी वो क्लेम्स से सारों को डर लगता है. सो मे बी दैट इज़ वन थिंग. But all these are, as I mentioned, these are retail products. The moment you have a big enough base on this, these products work. These products are sustainable.
Akif sahab, we're talking about misconceptions. अगर मैं ज़ाती बात करूँ, कुछ देर पहले health insurance जहाँ थी मैंने family के लिए. So and I went try to find their contact numbers on Google, कोई UN मिल गया etc. मुझे ये लगा, which is for me a barrier, was कि जो staff जो आपको इंश्योरेंस बेचते हैं अमूमन उनको अपने प्रोडक्ट्स का नहीं पता.
बिल्कुल ठीक.
And so that becomes a put off also, and then it's just so if, for example, so I want motor insurance तो आसान है क्योंकि अगर आप लीज लेते हो तो वो वैसे ही ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाता है. हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस की अगर बात करें, फॉर एग्जांपल, because I recently had to go through this, I don't know who to reach out to. कोई जान पहचान तो है नहीं, तो आई नीड टू गो थ्रू जैसे कहते हैं प्रॉपर चैनल, यानी यूएन मिला, कोई नंबर कॉल किया, किसी से बात की, भाई मुझे हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस चाहिए, ठीक है जी, हम आपको रब्ता करते हैं. अब वो रब्ते का इंतजार करते हैं आप, और जब रब्ता हो जाता है देन इट्स अ होल सॉर्ट ऑफ दिस इज टू हार्ड. वो एक और मिस, ये बहुत मुश्किल काम है. राम आसान ये है कि यार अभी छोड़ दें. दैट्स अनदर बात. एक है, मतलब अगर हम उस दूसरी तरफ बात करें, have you experienced that with customers? Have you heard that through the grapevine कि ये भी एक है misconception कि बहुत मुश्किल काम है?
I'm glad that you brought it up, Khalid. You are right. ठीक है. I will not deny this, but I think you are right. Because when we look at insurances which are actually close to us, something like a health insurance, ठीक है, उसमें there are a lot of, I won't say gray areas, but I will say things which need to be understood by the client in much more depth.
Client as
the end consumer. कि यार what exactly is covered and what exactly is not covered. So that tends to make the discussion a lot longer. ठीक है. मोटर इंश्योरेंस, यू राइटली सेड कि जी वो लीज लेते हैं तो आ जाती हैं. अदरवाइज मोटर इंश्योरेंस, गाड़ी चोरी हो जाएगी या गाड़ी डैमेज हो जाएगी तो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी जो है ना वो उसको ठीक करवा लेगी या उसको आपको रिप्लेस करवा देगी. ठीक है. दैट्स वेरी सिंपल. नाउ व्हेन इट कम्स टू अ प्रोडक्ट लाइक हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, यू आर लुकिंग एट कि यार मुझे प्राइवेट रूम मिलेगा, कि सेमी प्राइवेट मिलेगा, कि जनरल वार्ड मिलेगा, मेरे डॉक्टर की जो है वो लिमिट्स क्या होंगी, मेरी हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन की लिमिट्स क्या होंगी, क्या मेरा ओपीडी कवर होता है. सो देयर थिंग्स टेंड टू बिकम अ लॉट मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड एंड इट एक्चुअली रिक्वायर्स पेशेंस फ्रॉम द पर्सन हु इज एक्सप्लेनिंग इट एंड द पर्सन हु इज लिसनिंग. सो यस, सो उसकी वजह से देन people get put off कि यार it's becoming too complicated, ये पता नहीं मेरे लिए है भी है कि नहीं है, कि यार इंश्योरेंस कंपनी क्लेम देगी कि नहीं देगी. एंड देन आई थिंक द ईजी वे, एज यू मेंशन, कि यार बाद में देखते हैं, या the another easy way is कि यार you will say कि अच्छा यार वो फलानी कंपनी में मेरा एक जानने वाला है, मैं उससे पता कर लेता हूँ. ठीक है. So वो जो है, and the guy and whoever that person is will perhaps say अच्छा यार I'll take care of it whenever the claim comes. That's Correct. It. ठीक है. And when the claim comes, and if it is not according to the terms and conditions, तो आप कहते हो कि यार ये मेरा तो ख्याल था यार ये भी कवर्ड होगा, तो ये भी कवर्ड होगा, तो ये भी कवर्ड होगा. And hence I come back to the previous question about the misconception. ठीक है कि यार वो so the easy way out is generally what creates that misconception. when we tend to not go into the nitty-gritties and the details because हो सकता है कि as a customer I may not be clear at that point in time कि यार मुझे चाहिए क्या है. All I want is the broad category, which in your case let's say is health insurance. But उस health insurance के there are various components. As I mentioned, there's room rent, there's OPD, there's surgeon fee, etc., etc., etc. So the broad category you're clear about, but in depth. And when at the time of claims, there would be challenges. And hence we say कि अच्छा यार वो insurance company ने जो है ना वो claim रोकती है, which perhaps might not be the case.
We're talking insurance this morning. We're going to head to break. Be back with more. Welcome back to the encounter on Khalid Malik's Morning Jam. Head of Department of Business Solutions, TPL Insurance, Akif Malik joins us this morning. There's a lot of discussion these days also about company culture and goal setting and team building, etc. What kind of a company culture do you sort of promote, believe in? And how do you do it?
All right. So at TPL, I think the one thing which drives us is perhaps innovation. So at TPL, I think one thing which drives us is perhaps innovation. And we think of ourselves as insurtechs. And it all started with us entering into the retail sector when it comes to motor. That was something which TPL, or prior to TPL, TPL is a relatively newer company in the insurance sector. But prior to TPL, I think the insurance companies were not really focused on the retail sector. So we are the ones who pioneered entering into the retail sector.
Yeah.
And that drives us in a lot of other things. So we have innovated within the motor industry. We have quite a few innovations as well in terms of product. We have entered into the agri sector where we have innovated. We have launched a new product जिसकी हम pilot testing हमने की थी last year. It was successful. We are building on that. Similarly in livestock, that's another area where we are actually going down to the uninsured segment of Pakistan. We also have 37% shareholding by
the uninsured and the unbanked also.
The uninsured and I won't say unbanked, but they are banked. I think the biggest challenge, we will get to that. I'll answer that question. But those would primarily be banked but uninsured, and we are now looking at micro insurance as well as a segment to enter. So the thing which actually drives us is innovation. So the culture is driven around that. So the culture is built around that. There are a lot of, let's say, CSR activities that we as a corporate, TPL Corp, does. Quite recently, we had a management trainee, 6 to 8 week management training program for differently abled people. So all the HODs, all the HODs nominated somebody who would be working in their particular department. So as far as my department goes, we had a person who was partially blind. And we were working with him. We were trying to pass on some skills or learn from that person as well. And I must say that the person had very good Excel-based skills. So that is what I enjoy about working at TPL. We are always on the toes. We are always thinking new ideas. We are always testing the boundaries. Our CEO and our board also encourages that, and they say, why not? What will happen if you fail? We learn something new. I think that is what the passion is all about.
You've touched on a couple of things there, but I want to sort of bring it in a little bit. By that I mean, we talk about, so you have this broad category of insurance. Then you talk about management trainee programs and so on. And then we also want to talk about young graduates who are looking for a career path. And let's face it, there's no career guidance.
True.
In my opinion, anyway, in most of the schools. That's my experience. So with your experience, what would you say to young graduates who perhaps are looking for work and they're looking to work at, essentially, या मुझे किसी MNC में काम करना है, that's the dream that they leave with. But what is your advice to them? And perhaps why pick insurance as a possible career path? And क्या करूँगा जाके, मतलब sales की नौकरी? What is your advice to them?
All right, okay.
Be the career guidance counselor.
I will. So, let's say the sad reality about insurance is that, unfortunately, within organizations, within universities, schools, colleges, there's no planned focus on insurance as a career. Although it falls under the ambit of financial services, but you walk into a graduating class and you say, who would like to work in the financial services industry? I think 99% of the people will raise their hand. And when you say it's not a bank, it's an insurance company, you perhaps have one hand stretching at the end of it. That's a sad reality. But few things. Insurance is a career that you can choose, that you should choose, because it gives you a lot of opportunities, not only whether it is, as you've seen probably from my resume, I've headed agency, that means a field force of agents. I've headed banca, where I've interacted with the banks. I'm now looking after corporate sector, where I interact with the C-suite of the corporate sector. So from a development point of view, it gives you a huge amount of opportunity to learn, to grow, to challenge the status quo. And if you feel that you have the innovation or you have the thinking ability, you can do wonders, because the world is open when it comes to insurances. The advice that I would give them, especially for those people who think, sales is a taboo word, or who would like not come into sales, I always tell them that my 8-year-old kid is also a salesperson. Whenever he wants something from the parents, he's got two choices. Number one, either he will lie down on the floor and start crying and shouting and everything, or he will do something pleasant for me to give him that whatever that he wants. So even that guy is a salesperson. So sales, at the end of the day, we are all doing it. Whether we are doing it in terms of our whichever company that we are working for, whether it is, having a discussion with our juniors, our colleagues, our superiors, trying to sell ourselves, so that, at the end of the day, you get a better performance appraisal. So sales, buddy, is always there. So forget about sales. KR sales is a taboo word. When it comes to insurance, to me, there are a lot of opportunities for people who are especially smart and who have the passion to make things right. There are opportunities when it comes to corporate sector. There are opportunities when it comes to retail sector. There are opportunities where you want to insure those segment of the market which is uninsured. It encompasses all. So opportunities exist. Now, if you want to get into insurances, I think all the companies, they have their career page. You can apply through them. At us, we generally go with management trainee. We are also conducting orientation sessions or open houses at various universities. I think last week, the team went to Lahore and perhaps a few universities in Karachi as well, where they conducted open houses. So there are opportunities. It's just that, you have to believe that you can do and you can make a change. As I mentioned, that the GDP penetration of insurance is 0.7%. So the world is open.
If I want to send my CV to you, where do I send? Is there like an email address or something? Or?
Oh, you want my personal email ID?
No. I mean, if I wanted to send a CV, where would I send it to? Do I just go on the website?
You can go to the website. So website, they have a career page, or you can send it to hr@tplinsurance.com.
Okay, so hr@tplinsurance.com.
hr@tplinsurance.com.
Great. We're going to head to break. Be back with more. This is The Encounter on FM91 HOD Business Solutions TPL Insurance. Akif Malik joins us. We've spoken quite a bit about insurance and its misconceptions, etc. What sets TPL apart from the rest of the industry?
So TPL Insurance is always willing to experiment when it comes to products. give you an example. Last year, we launched Pakistan's first area yield index insurance, and that is related to crop insurance.
Okay.
And what it does is if the output, or the output, when I say the output of the produce is less than a certain number, the insurance company pays for the difference.
Okay.
So there was something which was very innovative. We are building on that. We launched it with a couple of banking partners. And there were claims. That was the first time in the history of Pakistan that there were claims paid on crop insurance because the output yield was low. We also did digital tagging of livestock. So we have a database right now of close to 3,000 animals, buffaloes and cows, where each cow or buffalo or each animal is individually tagged. There are 6 pictures taken. So we are building a repository of livestock as well. All that is digitally enabled. That even in motor insurance, which is kind of like a mundane product now. So last year we launched an innovative product where we actually said that, that the motor prices or the car prices have been really going high over the last couple of years. So we said that you buy your insurances today, and if the car gets stolen within the first year, we will replace the car irrespective of the new price of the car. So that was something that we launched last year. Similarly, even in motor insurance, because the premium rates have been going up, we launched an installment plan. Buy now, pay later type of a concept. We released that. And we are working at a few other innovative products when it comes to home insurances.
You talk about innovation and you talk about why insurance is so important. The floods recently we're still rehabilitating, and we're still affected by what happened. But they're saying, what's the figure here? $13 billion damage.
Right.
It'll happen again, maybe. What should we do? How do we sort of prevent or mitigate the damage? What would your advice be?
That's the sad reality, unfortunately. But there are now products in the insurance industry available, which can mitigate the losses. You can't control the damage, but you at the end of the day, you need to mitigate the losses. Even in countries like Bangladesh, which still get affected by floods, there is a product called flood insurance. All of that product is... So the products exist in the international market. And we ideally, as a nation, as the policy decision makers, we perhaps need to look at those products which exist, and we need to bring them on in Pakistan because, as you mentioned, that the floods may come again. That's a sad reality. But there has been a major change in climate. Last year, obviously, the heat wave that came, that was unprecedented. And then the floods which came, that was unprecedented. So we had an unprecedented summer and we had an unprecedented winter. It could happen again. But now it's time for the policymakers to start exploring these products which exist in the international market, which can be brought with the support of international reinsurances into Pakistan. Whether that is, as I mentioned, the area yield, the product that we are working on, or products like flood insurance. But at the end of the day, it's a question of the policymakers have a working committee, invite the insurance industries, and then let's work together to come up with a solution.
And do you know if this is in the works, specifically flood insurance, or is that available already, or this is still in the pipeline as well?
I can tell you a lot of things about it, but then I think you're
We're out of time.
Yes, there have been discussion about products like these. I think it's a question of how quickly we can put the wheel in motion.
Well, okay.
So there is a so there is a national disaster management forum on which discussions have been happening.
Okay.
But it's just a question of how quickly we can put the wheel in motion.
Okay. Akif Malik, Head of Department Business Solutions, TPL Insurance. Again, if you could give us the website, I got to send that CV.
It's tplinsurance.com.
TPLinsurance.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's welcome.
On The Encounter. Very insightful. This has been The Encounter, and you were hearing Head of Department Business Solutions, TPL Insurance. This has been Khalid Malik's Morning Jam. We'll catch you again. May your news be good news.